So Cyberpunk's modding scene keeps growing every single day, and I'm constantly surprised by the amount of really high quality mods that already exist out there, to the point that this brings me to a very important question, and something that probably many of you wondered ever since day one. What if Cyberpunk offered us the possibility to transcend being just a regular old human being? I mean, yes, there are some cyberware implants that can affect your looks, but what if we went way beyond that? Something more aching to this. Well, thanks to the amazing Cyberpunk modding scene, not only is that possible, but there's a handful of mods out there that can give you a ton of really amazing options that will definitely change the way you look at your character. So let's jump right into it, and as always, if you enjoyed this video at any point, it would really help me out if you also left a like on it. By the way, today's video has been brought to you thanks to Instant Gaming. If you want to buy cheap games and really enjoy big gaming discounts, definitely go ahead and check them out by using my links in the description box down below. Starting with the first mod on today's list, we have Advanced V customization by the user called Almico, and this is right now by far my favorite, simply because of the sheer number of customization options that it adds and because of its ease of use. So instead of replacing in-game items, this one replaces character customization features, which means that if you go ahead and create a brand new character, you can see these features already in that menu screen. So in this case, it's going to replace some of the hairstyles in the game, to be more specific, from the 34th slot and onwards, but it is definitely worth it. For example, if you want to go with an Arasaka visor, there's an option for that in there obviously, or if you want to cosplay as a Nightwatch runner, there's also a cyberware implant for that too. But if you're something like me and want to go really wild, you're probably going to go with the Nightwatch Maelstrom metal cap that replaces the hairstyle 34, and it completely engulfs your head with this really awesome cyberware modification. Now, if you're instead playing as a female V, then there is a different kind of option that actually seems even more amazing, and that is called Chrome Female V by the user called Crazy Potato, and this one fully changes your body so that it looks full on chrome. And yes, if you were wondering about those RTX settings, they will affect the shine and the quality of the reflections as well. Now, unlike the previous mod, unfortunately this doesn't outright change the character's features, but rather changes a couple of in-game items that you need to equip on your character to make this look work. In this case, it's going to be the basic pair of aviators and of course the basic casual shoes. So once you have installed these two mods, go ahead, add the Kabuki vendor right here on this side of the map and simply purchase these as they are sold over there at the vendor, or use the console commands on the mod page to add them directly in your inventory. More on that is going to be in the mod's description, but I will say this: if you're enjoying that lazy wizzy kind of look and really wanted that for your female V, then this is probably gonna be the best one for you, especially since there are a ton of clothing mods out there that will give you NPC clothing options so that you can make something really special. On the other hand, if you want a couple of alternatives to these, especially ones that are easier to install and only modify items, well, there is a couple of them in there for both female and male V. The first one is called EYEWEAR for a male character, and what this does is that it changes the Johnny Silverhand eyeglasses with any of these cyberware implants that you can apply to your character, including ones that can even be worn by Maelstrom gang leaders. Like for example, you have Royce, Dum Dum over here, and I'm pretty sure that there's a few more in there as well. Meanwhile, the same can be said about the female V. You can go with the Pantariste clothing mods that kinda do something similar to that, as in they change these aviators into these cyberware implants whenever you are using those as well, so it definitely makes sense to use them. But moving on to the third big mod, we have the one called Arasaka Cyber Arms by the user called Anders, and he's actually the one that even made available all of these cybernetic arms available for other mods out there. Of course, in this case, it's gonna be all Arasaka themed, so here are my suggestions. The first one, called Arasaka Arms Default Replacement, completely changes your male V arms so that they look like the Arasaka ones instead. This means that you don't need to have anything installed, no items, nothing. It's just going to straight up replace those arms to look like that instead, fully on cybernetic. From this point on, you can go with other options for the other cyberware modifications like Gorilla Arms, Launch System, Mantis Blades, Monowire. There's options for these as well. But the one that I recommend the most if you're looking for something really exciting is going to be the Oda Blades right here at the bottom, because this completely changes your Mantis Blades to look like the ones from, well, you guessed it, Oda's character, as he is one of the bosses in the game, and he is the one that uses these types of mantis blades against you in one of the boss fights. I will say this, they are a bit janky right now in the current version, but the modder has made promises to fix it better in the upcoming iterations, but even in this case it still looks really amazing. It's full on glowing with that really bright red, beautiful shine over there. It's going to, well, deal the same amount of damage since you're not changing the base default stats, but you're going to look that much more amazing simply because, yeah, everything is glowing like that. Now, in the case of the arms, they look even more incredible, especially if you combine these two, because they're full on black with those red accents. They fit really well. The only problem is that you kind of lose access to the other looks already existing in the game since you kind of override them. So you might even lose access to your fingernails or knuckles depending on which ones you install. But do you really care if you look really awesome like this? Because I don't think there's many people out there that will care too much about that. But this isn't where the arm modifications stop at, and there's actually an alternative to this if you don't want to go with the Arasaka looks, and one of them is called Cyberkitch Cyber Arms by the user called Shinigami, and this one does exactly that. It replaces all of the gorilla arms in the game with the ones that look really close to the ones worn by the Moxies. So in this case, if you want to go with something way more colorful and well, cosplay as a Mox, then I suggest the Rita original colors, as they give you that double color with the blue and the pink over there. That looks really awesome and really interesting because, as I've said, there's many mods out there that can bring you all of these items in the game. The final alternative to this, if you want something more serious, is going to be Cyber Arms Library by the user called Padhiver, and yeah, this brings you a few more modifications on top also for the gorilla arms. So again, you need to have the gorilla arms installed for these to work, but there's a few really interesting options out there that I really enjoyed. For example, the female nomad looks really interesting right here. It is definitely different, more different than the previous ones, and it completely changes your cyber arms as well to be way more robotic and way more bare bones, so to speak, than everything else. And there's also the male net watch right here that you can apply to your character, or the male street if you want to be more exposed, so to speak. And yeah, a few more options in there that you're probably going to enjoy quite a bit. But between all of these mods right here, you're going to get quite a few options to fully customize your character and make it that much closer to somebody like Adam Smasher. And this kind of concludes today's list. Now, the only thing that we probably need is a pair of legs, in this case full on cybernetic, as that would probably make the build complete, but I'm pretty sure that it's not too far along until we will see something like that. Maybe even more so once CD Projekt Red releases the modding engine and we get to play around with it a little bit more. But in the meantime, this has been it with the looks. Of course, let me know down below if you're planning to use these and if you want to see something like this in the base game as well. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.